No one talks about this part of leadership when you're first generation, about becoming a leader, about new responsibilities, and about being a different person, because that happens when you grow. And if you don't understand that, you'll keep trying to operate at a higher level with an old version of yourself. So today, I want to break down to you some of the questions, some of the comments that I've been getting in my chat and through my DMs about how do you outgrow spaces and places where, as a first generation leader, you used to be, but now you're moving into your new purpose and vision with your new leadership skills. So, you were rewarded for doing everything for yourself. Now you're expected to lead others. That's not a skill gap, that's an identity shift. Am I trying to prove myself or am I trying to lead others? And that's the question that we often have to ask ourselves. Where am I in my leadership journey? And how is my sometimes first generation survival skills impacting how I'm leading and showing up in new spaces as a first generation leader at times? And here's the second shift, and the second question I want to talk about is, why does it feel like sometimes you're losing yourself in the midst of leadership transition? I got this question in a DM and I thought it was really important to answer it. A lot of first generation leaders think something is wrong because they don't feel themselves anymore. We're so used to survival sometimes. We grew up in atmospheres and in environments where we were surviving, where we actually saw our parents constantly trying to survive. And so when we get to a place of leadership as first generation, we don't really understand how to connect to our old selves and also continue to move forward. So we feel like we're losing ourselves in one way, shape, or form. But I'm here to tell you, you're not losing yourself. You're outgrowing a version that got you here. Is that discomfort or is that transformation? At times we confuse those two. Transformation can feel like discomfort because you're in new environments, being exposed to new people and new responsibilities. And so that can feel uncomfortable at times, but don't confuse discomfort with transformation. There's a question that came through my DMs talking about the pressure to stay who people know. And this one was interesting to me. The question was, how do I continue to have relationships with the people that I was raised with, but are no longer going where I'm going? People around you are used to the old you, the helper, the one who says yes, the one who stays small. So when you change, it creates tension. And sometimes you no longer have anything in common or very minimal things in common with the people that perhaps were part of your life before. Growth requires a different atmosphere and a different environment. You can't grow and continue to be with people that are not growing. I recently planted some plants in my backyard. I am not into gardening because I don't know how it works. I love plants. I just don't know how it works. Like, they all die. I plant them and they do not survive a few months. So I'm trying to get better at that. But I bought a plant and I planted it around a plant that was dying. And I, for some reason, thought if I put some soil into both of them, right in the planter, they're both going to grow. Well, to my surprise, they didn't. Actually, they both died. And I bring that analogy to you today to say it reminded me of myself and of leadership in general. When we surround ourselves with people that are growing and elevating us in different ways, we automatically grow because we are around soil, if you would, that is positioned to grow. It's hard because we have relationships with people in our past and we want them to come along and we want them to grow with us, but they just don't and they don't want to. So what happens is there's this, I'm going this way, you want me to stay here, and you constantly push and pull and it creates tension and it creates stress because you're in between environments. And I want to ask you something today, and I want you to ask yourself this today. Am I staying the same to stay connected? Because a lot of the times, just simply because we don't want to let go of this relationship, we continue to shrink, we continue to stay small, and we continue to jeopardize our future and our purpose just to stay connected to that person. So think about that. This was another topic that came in my DMs. Why do we keep going back to old habits as first generation leaders? And this one is really personal to me because as a first generation leader, I'm sitting here in front of you saying I am a work in progress too. And a lot of the survival skills that I had growing up show up sometimes in my day to day and in the things that I do, like overworking, like over explaining, over proving. And that's not discipline, that's survival mode. We are so used to doing more to prove ourselves. We are so used to overextending, saying yes to everything that we forget that those habits were survival mode in the past and we no longer have to have those habits. We can actually live and lead in new spaces and places as leaders with new habits. And it doesn't have to be the ones we were raised with. So ask yourself, am I leading or am I coping? And that answer will reveal to you what areas in your leadership as a first generation leader you need to adjust. Most people don't choose who they become as leaders, they react to it. Leadership is intentional. So, who do I need to become to handle where I'm going? Who do you need to become to handle where you're going? Think of your leadership. Is it intentional or is it reactive? And assess. The hardest part of being a first generation leader isn't the work, it's becoming someone you've never seen before. And that's hard. But once you accept that, you stop trying to go back to the old you and you move forward to the you that's growing, that's living in purpose and with purpose. And you no longer look back. Shifting your mindset to understand that where you are in life, not everyone that was with you before is going to come with you now. And as you keep going up in responsibilities and titles and leadership, you start leaving people behind. And sometimes those people are special to you, and sometimes those people matter to you. So ask yourself, are you staying connected to those people and jeopardizing your growth and perhaps becoming bitter? Because I've had numerous conversations with friends. Or are you trying to navigate both worlds? Or are you staying connected and shrinking and also frustrated because you're not growing simply because of the people that you're surrounded with? Thank you for being with me today. If this helped you in any way, this is the Must Leaders community. This was Minutes with Ruth. I hope to see you next time. Comment, share, subscribe, and we will connect soon. Thank you.